Hey, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Angela O'Hare, your favorite Las Vegas realtor.
Hey, and I'm Rob Howell, Rockstar Realtor on YouTube. And HAU is how you spell my name. Houses and You. How are you,
There
Ange?
you go. Good. Today, we're going to be going over the monthly market update for May of 2025. But I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's talk personal real quick. You know, last month we finally got set up to the grid with our solar.
Yeah.
It's official on the 29th of May.
They finally hooked you up.
They finally hooked me up.
Giving yourself that energy.
And I am obsessed with the Tesla Powerwall.
Yeah.
I don't know how people who have solar don't have that.
I know. They didn't have it really. It was very expensive when I got mine. It was like 20
It
grand
is so
for just
freaking
one.
cool because I can see how much energy I'm giving to the grid, how much energy I'm giving to my house, how much energy is given to the Powerwall. And at the end of the day, I can see, I'm obsessed. I check on this all the time. At the end of the day, I can see how much money or how much
kilowatts, right?
Kilowatts that I've given to the grid. So normally I give that's how much I get back from the grid. Normally I give the grid like 38 kilowatts. So then it keeps me on track because of how Span rocks. Oh, we were talking about Span. We're talking about the Tesla Powerwall. So basically I know how much solar I'm producing, which is 92 kilowatts a day.
Okay.
And out of that 92 kilowatts, part of that, like 30 to 40 goes to the grid. The rest gets powered by my house.
You're using that.
And I'm using it. So then I have that extra storage built up. So when we have less sunny days, then I have that, it's a net metering, that extra storage. But I'm thinking, why whoever has solar, I know you're just getting to begin it. It's such a cool tool to have to know exactly where that solar is going.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And I'm like, okay, my battery's running low because the point of the battery too, how it works,
at night. Yeah,
it uses it at night. So like after 5 o'clock, I'll start using the battery, and depending on how much electricity or how much the air conditioners we use, then it eats up that battery. So now after having it for 2 weeks, I'm going to get another Powerwall 3 to have 2 batteries. So ultimately at the end of the day, I can be less reliant on the grid.
You'll be given a lot of power back, and especially like right now, not so much, but especially those bookends of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I save. I end up getting credits and then not really spending any. I don't pay any bill throughout the year.
That's great.
And that's without a battery. So I can imagine if I had a battery. Yeah. When I have one.
Okay. Brought my glasses. All right. Enough about that. I'm just like, Damien and I did a video last week, I do believe, on is solar worth having in Las Vegas? It's a yes and no answer. Depends on how you play it out. If you pay cash, if you finance, if you do the PPA, or if you lease it, right? Watch that video. We're not going to get into details on it today. I just wanted to briefly go over how I'm loving my Powerwall.
Yeah, it's, if it wasn't for the fact that the corporations, the power companies kind of get their claws in that, it's just a no-brainer, especially for the West Coast and a place like Las Vegas,
Yeah, exactly. And plus you get that 30% tax credit.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
That's worth it. That's why we went all out and got that huge unit because of that.
Yeah.
Credit. So have you been growing your hair out?
Yeah, just not necessarily purposefully, just haven't ran over to my lady yet to get a haircut, but I don't mind having a little longer hair. When I met you, I had really long hair.
Yeah, we were both growing it out. Mine was like getting long too. But anyway, folks, we're going to talk about the numbers for May of 2025, and my title was, is it a buyer's market? And at the end of the day, the answer is yes, it is a buyer's market. I know Rob has been doing a lot of YouTube videos on this. I haven't really watched any of them, so I don't know what they're all about, but we're going to get into the nitty gritty on the market, where we see it's going, right? Plus, we're finally going to talk about new construction because I feel that's an important play right now too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get started. And please feel free to tag along, chime along, and discuss, because there's a lot to go over where the Las Vegas housing market is heading. So let's pull up these fun numbers.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what people have their thoughts on it, because, they're seeing, obviously, not just us talk about it, and they're getting their thoughts maybe from other places. Tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah. So last month there were 2,087 single family homes that closed in the month of May, which is down 4% from the month of April and down 13.1% from year over year. So we are not making year over year numbers. Our numbers are tanking.
Yeah, they're low.
We're not having a good number of closings as we've had in years past. And the median price remained at 480,000. So that's 2 months in a row that it remained at 480. If you remember, back in January, it was 485, February 485, and March 485, right? So it was flat against the prior month, but still up 1.5% from the prior year. So we're still up from the prior year, which I still think is okay.
It's actually showing a lot of stability, considering.
Yes.
When you don't have as much activity, you don't have as many closings, and you've got a lot of negative press out there, and yet Vegas still looks like it's pretty darn strong.
Yeah, and it's not just Vegas; it's across the nation, the country. And the biggest takeaway, if you watched our market update from last month, is the FOMO. It's the seller's fear of missing out, the influx of homes coming on the market. We've had more homes this spring than we've had since COVID. So it's not heading towards like the 2008 crash, where people comment on my video about it. That was a whole different ball of wax back then. It was subprime lending. It was very bad lending. This time it's because of the new person involved. I can't say their names because, again, it kind of, when I say it, I can't promote my videos.
Oh, really?
When I talk about that person.
The administration?
The administration. Sorry, folks. Sorry if we disappeared.
We bumped ourselves off.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of the administration so much. There certainly are effects that are happening there, but there's been a lot of stuff kind of in the making for a while now.
Right.
And now you suddenly see that the media is happy to report every little bit of negative news they can on the real estate market.
Oh yeah, definitely. So lately I've been going over our last month or two about how many closings we had in years past. So in 2024, we had 2,400, roughly 2,400 closings for the month of May. In 2023, we had a little over 2,300. And in 2022, we had a little over 2,900. And in 2021, a little over 3,100. So as you can see, May of 2021 and 2022, we were peak. We were like going crazy. And then in 2023, May is when we had the high interest rates. Same thing for 2024. So we were almost 400 off from last year.
Yeah, 300. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a big surprise for me. I mean, obviously I've been it's not really, we've been talking about this. This is not necessarily surprising. I think what's surprising is that I'll go back to the median price. It's holding strong, even with, it's holding relatively strong, even with the
influx of homes on the market.
Yeah. And what that tells me, and I talk about this, I just put out a video. I was cramming to get out this video, but I had some technical difficulties. I wanted to get it out sooner. But that tells me that what you're seeing. Oh my goodness, did I just lose track of where I was at? Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I just completely.
That's okay.
I just completely blew a tire on the road there. what was
The
that?
median price maintaining where it's at, even with the influx of homes.
Of course. So we know that there are lower sales. So when you have lower volume, they can get affected more easily. And we do know this, that the properties that are selling are good properties.
Right.
They're great properties. People want to buy good properties. And also the sellers, in many cases, are giving a lot of back end. Mm-hmm. So it is holding up things a little bit more firmly than,
it's I've had a couple listings and they went fast, and then I have a few listings that were priced really right, and we've done price decrease after price decrease, even below market value, and it's still not getting any hits, which is kind of sad because they're nice single story homes in Summerlin with the next gen suite. Okay. But yet the new construction selling like hotcakes. And this is not an older home. It's like a 2023 home. So it's just kind of crazy how the market is. The key takeaway is that in this market, it has to be priced right from the very beginning, because if you don't price it right in the beginning, then it's suicide.
Yeah. I talk about this in luxury. Like, there are only 181 properties under contract right now. When you look at what's on the MLS,
right?
181 properties under contract and about 1,250 properties on the market. You need to be one of those ones under contract.
Yes.
This is just luxury, guys. I wanted to focus on that because it's smaller numbers. But you need to be one of those 181. And if you don't start out on the right foot, it might get you kind of lopsided pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And now too, with the bill not passing for Sony Studios and Warner Studios currently this year, that's going to be that's tough. And the stupid legislature always has to have their paws and claws into something.
Yeah.
Have you read the RJ article on it?
A little bit. And I, looked into it just a little bit. It's confusing to me because I think that there might be some ulterior motives for why these people that are sort of blocking it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at New Mexico, Atlanta, Georgia. They have great tax incentives for the film industry. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of TV shows are producing in Canada, because they have great tax incentives. And I don't know why Las Vegas couldn't come to the party. We needed that as part of our economy, instead of just having the whole casino industry as part of our economy. Mm-hmm. We needed that. And it was going to provide a lot of jobs, a lot of stability. Don't you think?
Yeah, and it still may, it may come around.
Not just this year, and it was important.
It may not be passed for 2 years, right? Because the legislature only comes around. The one bit of caution that I have heard is because there has been so much sort of issues with Hollywood in general, as far as it's not the same volume of money. Speaking of volume, there, they don't have the same budgets. And there's just not as much involved now. So to invest too heavily in it, you might want to use caution. So that is one area that I've thought, okay, well, that makes sense. But I also think there's some potential shenanigans going on with who wants what wheels need to get greased, didn't get greased, right?
Just like when 2018, when pot became legal in the state of Nevada, part of those funds were supposed to go to the school district.
Yeah, that's still to this day.
I don't think the school has seen any of that money.
From what I understand, no, it's some rainy day fund, which I don't know.
It's all about greed.
What are you hearing out there about that? Let us know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these things are not positive for Vegas, but there is some positive.
Yes, of course.
I would say the ballpark breaking ground on the 20th. Right. That's a big deal. The A's will be coming here. They're breaking ground on the 20th.
Yeah, I know. But I just think that, my ex has been worked in the film industry for the state of Nevada, and they had always been trying to get those incentives passed for California. And it's been very hard. And there's a lot of movies that have been filmed here in Vegas. And I just think it's a miss right now.
You might not be, I can't argue with you.
Right.
I think that it always sounded like a great thing. So, are we missing out? We'll find out. A couple of years and the gist of things might not be that big of a deal if it ends up happening.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
So then we'll talk about the median price. So the median price again for May was $480,000. For May of 2024, it was $473,000. For May of 2023, it was $442,120. And in May of 2022, it was at its all-time peak of 482,000.
Prior to our recent all-time peak.
Yeah. And then in May of 2021, it was at 385,000. So back in January of this year, or was it December? January of this year, we hit our all-time peak of 485. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, we held steady for 3 months at 485. Now we've been hovering the 480,000 mark for 2 months. Will it continue to go down? I mean, ultimately, I hope so. I have a new CRM and I've been updating notes from my clients. And a lot of clients, I notate the pricing of the homes. And back then in 2021 and 2020, 315,400. We thought it was a lot of money back then. I mean, now that's how much a condo costs.
It's hard to find.
It's hard to find something like that. And these notes that I'm reading is that all these clients that had reached out to me back then were like, we're going to hold off. We're going to wait until the market goes lower. Well, don't they wish they bought then? Because now those homes are probably a couple $100,000 more.
Yeah, I can understand the thinking, especially when you see just from 1 year, you went up nearly $100,000 on the median from 21 to 22.
Right.
I can kind of understand where people are just like, this doesn't make sense. But obviously there was a lot of things that didn't really compute until you look back on them and see how it all shook out.
Right.
And now, yes, everybody wishes, and myself included, I should have bought more. I should have bought investment property.
Yeah. Or new construction homes, especially in Summerlin, how much they've gained.
Yeah. I mean, it's impossible to have predicted back then. And knowing what we know now, it's clear that there was, now the fear in the marketplace might make some sense too. But also, I don't think that I think that people are going to go through a similar process right now. They're gonna say now's not the time.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna go crash and burn, and that's when I'm gonna get in. And once again, you're gonna be going, I should have taken advantage when it was nice and soft for me.
Yes.
It's not. I don't see this getting tumbly like 2008. None of that's happening.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, it's a tough call because right now, while there's a lot of inventory, it is a buyer's market, and it's your opportunity to really use some muscle, your agent use some muscle and negotiate some terms for you, especially closing costs, lower asking price, because the people that want to sell and need to sell will sell.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And then once the interest rates do finally start softening, if they ever do, then the prices will go back up again.
Yeah, the rates will come down. It's just a matter of when.
Right.
They're going to come down.
We can't sustain this for 3 years.
No, it's going to happen. I just don't know when. And I think there's, you see, I see different economists talking and they're kind of split, but a lot of them are starting to side with, hey, some of them are like, we're behind on it. We really should be moving to, and they're like, well, the Fed's being extra cautious and not doing that.
Right.
So there's some push and pull there that'll shake out. But yeah, once that happens, I really think the market will basically be a balanced market.
I mean, again, we've say this in every video it's been 3 years now. We started seeing interest rates hike in June of 2022. They have yet to tame the inflation. I mean, there has to be some give now, I think, because one, it's a lot of people can't afford to buy the houses.
Yeah.
It's just still unaffordable.
Bottom line.
Yeah. The reason why we had such anemic inventory in years past was because the sellers had such great interest rates that they didn't want to give up their homes.
And they're still rate locked.
They still have them.
Many people rate locked. Yeah.
Right. And why would they give up? So that's why we were anemic in the last after COVID, right? Because a lot of people locked in 2.9, 2.5, 3% interest rates, and they didn't want to give that up. This year was an anomaly. And we talked about it last month was because we hit our peak at 485,000. And I think sellers are like, well, wait a minute. What happens if that's it? That's the highest. I want to capitalize on this higher median price so I can get as much money as I can.
Yeah. And I just have to say, I think our advice has been so solid because we've been telling people, if you're trying to do that, get out there and get it done, because maybe you're not going to get the very high, but we're still we're just 5,000 below the median.
True, but how long is it going to take to sell it? Because your home, the average is about 60% of homes are on the market 30 days or less, but the rest, the 40%, is going to take longer than 30 days. Back in the day when the market was solid, it was only 90% of the homes were on the market 30 days or less, and they were selling like hotcakes, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But that was also unprecedented time.
Yes.
Where we're headed is to a more balanced time. I'm just saying that if you are a seller and you priced your property right and you got it under contract and you heard that from us, you did the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, at the same token, I have clients calling me, and I'm a little leery to tell sellers to list now. I just don't think it's a good time. I don't think it's a good time to list your home because you have too much competition out there and you don't have the demand, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if you don't have to, if you don't have to sell your home right now, don't sell it. Hold off until see how the market's going to play out.
So something that I've got it in my mother's voice in the back of my head. She's like, because I used to I would say that to her, and she'd be like, you can't ever tell people that because they have their own reason for selling.
Right.
So, you have to let them decide why they're selling. Now you're right, because the saving grace of what we're dealing with, we won't see this go crazy too much more crazy because the sellers don't have to sell. Most of them.
Right.
Most of them they're not in a distressed position. The ones that are more pinched, they're going to make it happen like we've talked about. They're going to make that price happen, and they're going to sell eventually. So the ones that either they just don't want to get on the market, like take that advice and go, you know what, I don't want to do that now. Oh, and another reason why I personally won't tell somebody don't put your property on the market is because if there are things ahead that we can't see coming, and they go, you know what, I heard from you, I shouldn't have sold, and then this happened, and now the market's even worse.
True. But if they don't have to sell right away, then I advise them. It's not, I don't tell them, I advise them it's not a good time to list.
Yeah. And forgive me, I don't mean to say that.
Yeah.
I'm just cautious about that because we don't know the future for sure.
True.
And if you do want to test the market, there's really nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I do think, you got to be competitive. There's more competition out there. People talk about whether this is a buyer's market or not. Right. You're saying we know this is a buyer's market, but for some people out there, they're going, well, how can it be a buyer's market when the rates are here and the prices are here? Well, because of what we're talking about.
That's the inventory.
Those sellers that do need to sell, they're going to give you a deal comparatively to what was out there before.
Right.
And if you're talking about you want a better interest rate, get the seller to help you do that.
Yeah.
You know,
ask for closing costs, and you can use those closing costs to actually buy down your rate.
I think sellers and buyers are sort of in a similar position right now. The buyers that can buy some of them may not feel like they have to buy, but they might go out and test this market.
True. Very
right?
true. Yeah.
The sellers, same thing.
Yeah. Very true. The buyers out there are testing the market, seeing what deals they can get.
Yeah. And if it's not there and they're going to be stubborn and say, look, I need a deal, they may not make a deal, but some of them might make the deal that they are so happy they did in years to come. I really feel that's what's going on right now.
All right. So let's talk about the median price for condos. Uh-oh. I accidentally got rid of it.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
All righty. So the median price of condos went from $302,700 for the month of April to $307,000 for the month of May, which is up 1.4%. I don't know why I had that down, and also up 4.1% from the prior year. So condos are still hanging in there. They're still relatively doing well. It's very hard to find a condo that's decent, new, under the 300,000 range, even the 400,000 range. But you can find some decent resale that's a little older condos in Summerlin and that 325, 350 range that are like your mom's community.
Yep. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing people that are taking advantage of this time right now to size down a little bit.
Right.
Like, hey, let me sell this property and then get a condo instead. I don't want to have to deal with a single family.
Yeah, like my seller, we sold their home in Summerlin West. I mean,
they got a townhome,
north.
Right?
They bought a townhome in Summerlin Highline. Low maintenance. She didn't want to have to deal with maintaining the pool, the yard, everything. Living in a house and it's just, you can go. How they call it? Just go. You can lock and leave.
Oh yeah.
You can just lock and leave and go on vacation and enjoy that. And so there's a lot of people doing that.
Yep. Yeah, I think of people that coming to town, it's clear that they're okay with, we'll just start out with a condo. And
yeah. So the median price last year in 2024 for condos was $295,000, and in May of 2023 it was $275,000. In May of 2022 it was $285,000, and in May of 2021 it was $205,000.
Yeah.
When we started doing this, wasn't the median price for houses in that 290 to?
Yeah.
I'd have to look back.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was before your time because I started doing market updates before I met you.
I want to say like 320 was where we were at.
I'd have to pull up the 2020 numbers to have comparison to see what it was, but you could be right. But when I started in real estate in 2016, that's the median price was super low.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I will take note of it, and this is the same on the condos and the single family residence. You saw where we had this dip, and then we came right roaring on back.
Yep.
I definitely think what we might it's like a very much a similar type thing that's going to happen. Once rates change, new ball game.
Well, that's what I had mentioned in last month's market update. A prime example was May of 2022 when the interest rates increased. We saw an influx of lots of homes, and by September we were at over 8,000 single family homes on the market in 2022. And then we also saw from 482 to 425 by the end of 2022. So, but what happened after that? From 23 on, we just kept on going back up again.
Yeah.
So real estate is always cyclical. You're always going to have peaks and valleys and up and down. So we're heading in that downward trend right now, in my opinion. And if the interest rates do start tapering down, we're going to go back up again on that roller coaster ride.
Yeah. Maybe slower.
Yeah.
Maybe more. I mean, I think that's healthy. I think I'm looking for health.
Right.
I think we get back to a healthy market. That's really what I'm.
And that's why I compared this year to 2022. It's a very good example. And we will, in my opinion, continue to see that median price decline. Just how far, I don't know.
Right.
Because in 2022, it was bigger dips.
It was.
Where this time it's very gradual.
Yeah. And getting back to health also means, we got to get more people into we've grown, but yet our numbers are down, like way down,
right,
from years past, like prior.
But again, it's not just a Vegas thing; it's a whole United States thing, a whole national thing where everyone's saying the same thing. I watch a lot of realtors on Facebook, and they're complaining about the same thing. So it's just not a Vegas market, it's the whole world.
Oh, for sure. Each market feeds each other, right? So if California, we know we get a lot of people from there. If they're pinched,
right,
it's going to take the trains held up at the station, right? And vice versa. So
but as a buyer, it is a great time, in my opinion, to buy, because again, we have a feeling, hopefully, that those interest rates will tick. And once those interest rates tick down, that means the prices will start ticking back up, because then you're going to have more buyer demand.
Yep. Once there's more demand, you're going to have a harder time finding the home you really want.
Right, exactly. And now you have lots of choices, which is great, that we haven't had. We've been so anemic for the last 5 years. We haven't had those choices.
Yeah. I just,
or at least springtime. Anyway.
I will speak to the people out there watching. I know that there's so many, we don't get the comments here because I think a lot of serious buyers and sellers understand and watch us. But we're not saying this because we're hurting for you to get over here and help buy a property. It's just honest advice.
Well, to be honest with you, this has been the best year in my entire real estate career.
Yeah.
I've had
You're crushing it.
almost 30 closings this year already, and it's only June.
Wow.
So I it's not like I need the sales or anything, but it's telling me that there's buyers out there and they're still buying.
Oh yeah. No, that we're clicking along to some. I think that there's the top realtors are doing well.
Right. And that's what they say. Only 1% of real estate agents do the business.
For the most part, like win that 1 to 5%.
Right. Right.
And then unfortunately, there's a lot of agents that are doing zero. And that's been maybe a couple of years, 2-3 years running.
Yeah. I mean, there's over 20,000 agents in the Las Vegas market alone. So there's just a handful. I don't know if I said this, but I ranked number 72 for last quarter.
Wow.
Out of
congrats.
15,000 agents.
Yeah.
So hopefully next quarter I'll push it in, but all those top agents that I pay attention to have been just as doing well also. But anyway, I'm not going to keep on tooting my own horn. Let's talk about the luxury market, which again, luxury nowadays, $1 million is really not luxury. Luxury really is like $2 million to $2.5 million. But since we've been saying this for a long time, over $1 million, we'll continue at that, continue talking about it. So there were 159 homes that sold over $1 million in the month of May, and April's number was 164. So we had 5 home decrease.
Yeah.
And the median price also decreased. It went from $1.370 million in April to, it went from 1.395 in April to 1.370 in May. But that's not a huge decrease.
No. It's a small numbers, so it's very easy for that to swing.
Right.
The $1 million mark is a good spot for us to just cut and be able to take that chunk of and stuff and talk about it. But yeah, I can imagine if we were talking like where those numbers would be at 2 million plus. There's definitely far fewer of those that were, and that's why you're seeing the median is 137.
I mean, it's just funny how we think of prices, right? When I bought my home in 2019, it was $415,000. I thought that was a lot of friggin' money.
Yeah.
I thought I was like buying this huge house. I got it at $125 a square foot. I thought I got a steal of a deal. And now $415 is like the low end.
It's not even the median.
It's not even the median.
Not even close.
Right. So now when we think of $1 million, even though there's not a lot of people that can afford that $1 million.
Still luxury for a lot of people.
It's still luxury for a lot of people. But nowadays, when you think of $1 million, that's not million now was like 500 back then.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. And that's why you get these comments where people go, yeah, look, I don't want to, I'm spending this much money for a house like that. They're still kind of living 5, 6, 7 years ago in their mind. Like that house is 1.3. Like, yeah, well,
yeah, it's just the inflation.
Yeah.
Prime example of inflation.
Well, the infusion of trillions of dollars into the marketplace or something.
Right.
Something to do with COVID.
Yeah. Well, too, also, those low interest rates had been around since the 2008 recession. There was a lot of government incentives for first-time home buyers. I know Biden had some stuff. I know Obama had some stuff, remember?
Yeah, I mean, these Obama years were very corrective years. He had the housing market, was limping along for quite a lot of his term.
Yeah. It didn't go up, it didn't shoot up like drastically. It took many years.
Gradually after 2012 is when we finally started, notching up.
And it took a very long time.
But I still think that was healthy. And that's why this ride that we've been on has been, I don't know if it's fully unhealthy because I don't see right now like that big problem where the bubble bursts. As long as we keep seeing more healthy trends like what we're seeing now.
Yeah, but are we going to become another California, which I had alluded to in many market updates, where a lot of prices reflect some of the, California back in, say, 2020, right? Mm-hmm. Where you can buy a rundown shack for $1 million. I mean, it's not that point here,
no.
But a lot of California houses are older, And depending on location, they're like small for $2 million and they sell.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they're sought after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vegas is a valley. We're going to fill up. And yes, I do think that we have not hit our ceiling. I don't know what that'll be.
Yeah. Especially, with the number of permits being pulled by builders gets less and less each year because there are land issues here in the valley. A lot of it's owned by BLM where they're not releasing it in a timely manner. So that's why I think, there's not too many. I'm seeing a lot of new construction going on as much as we were seeing in years past.
Yeah, which makes me think that thinking of California and how we would maybe reflect that market is that you would start to see these, sort of renovation of the neighborhoods, these turnover.
Right.
And so now you're not selling as much new homes. I mean, because they just don't have as many. And then now people are buying older homes, fixing them up, which they do. People do that.
Yes.
But maybe that becomes even more of a trend as time goes on.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because the nice areas that are older will become more insulated because they're still popular, like where you live, where I live in Desert Shores, Summerlin area. Those will remain insulated because of the desirability.
Yeah, the things that you can't change.
Right.
You can't move a house, right? Or at least you shouldn't.
Right. Location.
The location, how the house is built and what's land it's on, things that you can't change. Those are going to be always premium.
Yeah. And a lot of people would prefer to go older because there's more land. You're not as close to your neighbors, especially in the Summerlin West area, how close they're building those homes. When you can buy a 90s home or an early 2000s home, you still have a little more yard and space.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. You see it in the luxury market, the really high-end luxury stuff, like the older Summerlin areas that those are so sought after, and the turnover rate in those neighborhoods is very low.
Yeah, a lot of them have like 20,000 square foot lots, which is big.
Yep.
All right, well, let's get back to the numbers. Let's see if we have any questions. Only Damien. Thanks, Damien. Let's get into the new listings. Please, if you guys are watching, please ask us any questions. So we had 3,591 new listings for the month of May, which is down 2% from April, but up 15% from the prior year. But look at the graph. I know my cursor can't show it, but this graph kind of tells the story of how we always have the peaks during the spring season, and then it goes down.
Yep.
So that's
the minus 2% is completely normal.
Yeah, normally we have this more new listings during the spring selling season than we do in
starts tapering.
Yep. Right. So I wanted to go over, I don't even know if that's relevant to go over new listings. We're right on trend for year over year about the amount of new listings we have. This is a normal number relatively, don't you think?
It's it's not wild.
No. It was the only thing was off was 2006. We had 2,600 new listings, whereas
2023.
2023, yeah, sorry. But 2022 we had over 4,000. 2021 we had 3,700. 2024 we had 3,100, and now we have 3,500. So this to me is not an exuberant amount of new listings for this time of year.
It's not outlandish. The difference is that the demand is just not as high. So you're seeing more, inventory stack up a little bit.
Right. And I noted this, and I said this last time, that sellers are listing their homes at a far greater rate than last year, but buyers are not absorbing those homes at the same rate. This has left more homes lingering on the market, and we will continue to see this, I think, trend for the summer.
Yeah,
you think?
Not as it'll be the trend that will be there. Will be you're going to see that not as many people aren't piling these listings on. I've already seen that.
Right, because now it's getting to that time of year too, where not too many people like to list their home in the heat of the summer.
So if we can continue with relatively around the same buyer rate where we're at, you'll see inventory go, but we're not going to get to where like we're running hot, like super hot.
Right.
Which I think the number in my mind, total on market right now is actually just under 20 or 10,300. if we get up to about 11,000, that's going to be running super hot for inventory.
Yeah. And I think currently, not last month, we're at like 6,700 single family homes without offers right now on the market. But that doesn't include condos and townhomes.
Right.
I always like to just look at single family because that's what I mostly sell. I sell a few condos here and there, but my main focus is the general single family homes. So with that said, last month for listings without offers, there were 6,646 listings that were on the market that hadn't sold for the month of May, which is up 7% from the prior month and up 71.8% from the prior year.
Oh, there it is. There's your hangover. Plus 7% from last month.
Yep.
And 71, nearly 72%. Yeah.
So last year, this time, we had 3,869 single family homes listed without offers. So that's almost double.
It's more than double. Yeah.
But 38 plus 66 is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is doubled. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, that's huge. And this is the most we've seen it in 5 years. And in 2020, that number was 5,799. So we're even higher than COVID timeframe.
Yeah.
But again, this is this spring selling season, and it's not the fall where we hit over 8,000 single family homes in 2022.
Yeah, and 2020, I would say that by this time people were holding off, so we weren't getting an big influx. We just
once June happened though, I just blew up.
Yeah, things started moving after about this time, so it'd be interesting to reflect back as the months go from here.
Yeah, so I'll pull up 2020 next time for June and see, because that's when it really, actually, we won't see it until July.
Yeah.
Because remember, we're a month behind.
Yeah, exactly. And so my thing is that right now I don't see any emergency. I just see less, excitement for sellers because we're about traditional numbers prior to COVID. That's about where we are.
Yes.
Other than buying, there was more buyer activity. But actual on-market properties was sitting around about 10,000 prior to COVID.
I'm gonna have to investigate that. I don't.
Yeah, look back. Yeah,
I'll look back.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm gonna challenge you on that one.
Okay.
Because I just remember 2018 and 19 where a lot of times houses were selling like that and get multiple offers. I had a lot of listings that had multiple offers, like 10, 20 prior to COVID. So I will investigate that. Anyway, so now we're at months of supply, and we are currently at 3.2 months of inventory. And last month we we're at 2.9. So we had a 11.4% increase from the prior month, but a 97.6% increase from the prior year. So with that said, last year, this time, we only had 1.6 months of inventory. So that's like more than double again of what we had the years past.
I think it's right on the dot double.
Yeah.
Or that's why it's 97 point whatever, because it's like basically 100% increase.
Right. Yeah, and usually this time we're very anemic, at least for the last 5 years. And the reason we always talk about the last 5 years is that's when, as long as we've been doing the market updates.
It's a good marker down as well, because the market has really been so different.
I mean, the market has changed tremendously since COVID. And so that's where we've been analyzing the numbers and seeing the trends of what's happening year after year after year. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go over that.
Everything prior to that was just so much different. It really was.
The pre-COVID days.
Yeah.
It was very different. Now let's go over one last matrix, and then we will go over new construction. So 61.3% of the homes was on the market for 30 days or less for the month of May. 60.3% was for the month of April, and 70.9% of the homes were on the market for 30 days or less last year.
It's interesting that it went up a little bit, even though it's just a small amount.
Yeah.
You would figure that it actually dipped below 60%.
Yeah, considering the amount of inventory we have gained from the prior month.
And I think, but I think that goes to show that those properties that are awesome, that people are looking for, they do sell.
Yes, the nice properties do sell. Like I had a condo in Summerlin, Trilogy Summerlin, priced at $980, and my seller wanted to list it high against my advisement, and we sold it within 8 days, cash offer, and we sold it at $925. But she was happy.
Yeah,
cash sold in 8 days. What more can you ask?
Yeah, well,
again, those are sellers that are testing the market,
and they sometimes have the feel. You know, you have to, sometimes they just, yeah. You were still right when you look at the number that ended
up when I quoted her, when I wanted to list it at $925.
Wow, right on the money.
And it sold at $925. But and also that we represented the buyer. Damien's representing the buyer.
Oh wow.
So that worked out pretty nicely.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that is like planting the seeds just perfectly. I mean, and it's to your client's benefit, because had those seeds not been planted, they passed on that offer, who knows, they might still be sitting there waiting for their number.
True.
So
yeah, I think a lot of times some companies don't agree on dual agency. Not that I mean, if you're a professional, then you could be not biased, but you can represent both parties equally.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I can't figure out the word I want to use, but without being biased for each, and to represent both fairly and tell the terms for each without trying to be greedy.
It's definitely manageable.
Yes.
You definitely have, you take the right steps. You disclose a lot.
Yes.
As far as hey, this is what my position is here. You're also maybe having to have your client.
And it's actually a lot easier because one, I don't have to rely on another agent to do the paperwork because I'm doing it all.
Yeah. But yeah, sometimes you have to, in those situations, the client has to make a little bit, you have to say, hey, this is your decision.
Yes.
Okay. I can advise you to a point, but I can't tell you what they're thinking or saying,
Right.
So I can't sell them out. Right.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be honest to both parties and not expose each of the parties' secrets or whatever, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and if you have the right people, it can be very smooth. With a a more delicate person, maybe, or I don't know, Henri.
Yes,
it can be a ride.
Yes, yes. And this is probably, I've only had maybe one or two in my career of representing both sides. It's not something I seek out for.
Right. No,
it just happens. And oftentimes, if I do get someone that wants to buy. Because I was at a prior brokerage and they didn't allow dual agency. So then I just gave it to my assistant. And some brokerages allow it and some brokerages don't.
Yeah. I always tell people, listen, I'm looking to put your property out to the world here and not try to it's just, I'm not just trying to make sure I make the most money. I need you to make the most money.
Exactly.
If it happens to be that I bring you the best offer, I'm going to be able to prove that to you.
Well, and usually when I do both sides, I cut both parties a very good deal and not be greedy on the commission check.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. If that's ultimately something that can help smooth it out, yeah, easy enough.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, that is it with the market update. If you want to ask us any questions about it, let us know in the comments, because we're going to start and we're already at 12:49. We need to get into the new construction. I feel with the influx of resale homes on the market, the builders are feeling a pinch. We kind of briefly talked about the builders feeling a pinch last market update, whereas the builders are actually offering some really great incentives right now, especially during the summertime. I've always said in the last maybe 3-4 years, towards the fall is always the best time to buy a move-in ready new construction home, because they're trying to make their year-end numbers. But I'm seeing just as great incentives now as I've seen in the fall timeframe. And a lot of communities are closing out, so they just want to just really knock out some deals and get some great deals going. So Century Communities is having what's called the flash sales event. Unbelievable savings on their select move-in ready homes when you use their financing lender, Century Communities lender, Inspire Home Loans. You get a 30-year fixed rate loan with a 3-2-1 buy down plus $3,000 towards closing costs. And this is only on your FHA and VA loans. So for the first year, get this, folks, and I don't think I've seen it this low before, 1.875% interest rate. Second year, 2.875%. Third year, 3.875% interest rate. And for years 3 through 40, locked in at 4.875%. Still way below the average interest rate now. This is a phenomenal deal. And I think I've sold quite a few Century Communities. Most of them are all move-in ready to begin with. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to buy, contact us, because I think at one point now, if you're doing VA and FHA, right? But if you're doing a conventional, they have what's called a 7-6 ARM, meaning that for 1 to 7 years, you're locked in at 4.625% interest rate. And then years 8 through 30, you're locked in at 9.625, which is not that very good. But by year 7 or even before, mm-hmm. you can refinance it at a lower interest rate.
That's the idea there. Absolutely. Yeah. As long as you don't get caught, but you got 7 dang years to make sure you don't.
And some people are already selling by then.
Yeah. So you really, if you understand your plans and you know what you need to do, and you know that, hey, by the time, you can refinance, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
It's a good product for you. I really love the first one though.
Yeah, that's great. And you must go under contract by June 20th and close by July 31st.
That's quick, folks. You better get on it.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen Century Communities this low before, and that's a phenomenal deal. And, especially a lot of those VA buyers, those military buyers that want to be close to the Nellis and mm-hmm. Creech, Century Communities, Sky Canyon, actually, they're almost sold out in those communities over there, but they're opening up 2 new communities in Sky Canyon called Mesa at Skyview, I think, and Terra at Skyview. Mm-hmm. So they're finally opening land. Sky Canyon's almost near completion, and the builder now that's left is Century Communities.
Yeah.
No more Toll Brothers, no more Pulte, Woodside. It's just Century.
Yeah.
They pretty much own Sky Canyon.
Yeah.
All right. So Lennar is having their summer savings event. Again, all these builders are having their summer savings event. You get 4.65% 30-year interest rate on FHA and VA, I think. You must go under contract from now until
22nd of
no,
August? Or?
No, now until June 15th and close by August 22nd. Gotcha. Of course, you have to use Lennar Mortgage. It's funny how a lot of these are offering it only for FHA, but a lot of the Lennar homes are much more expensive that don't qualify for that FHA because there's a certain limit. Yeah. And maybe only those Lennar townhomes that they have a lot of.
Yeah, I was going to say this is specific areas and product that they're really
are targeting.
Yeah. What is the community across from Sky Canyon? I'm blanking on the other side of the freeway.
Sunstone?
Is that Sunstone?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Sunstone, maybe.
I think it's called Axel.
Maybe they have a product there that would
work.
They
do.
Yeah.
And they have a lot in Henderson, a lot of those townhomes in Henderson.
Okay.
And the nice thing is actually Lennar will be opening up a new community in Sunstone called Aaliyah. And they have 3 different collections in there with the nice big next gen suites, RV garages,
Ooh.
The 3-car garages. They haven't opened the models just yet, but they released the floor plans. They have 6 different floor plans to choose from, and they're very great, famous Lennar floor plans.
And clearly they're focused on what they're focused on here is going to be inventory they have ready to go pretty quick.
Yeah, Lennar is very known for since COVID and our inventory shortage days, the builders have become quite known for doing all quick move-ins, mm-hmm. move-in ready spec homes. And this was a trend that we didn't see prior to COVID.
Lennar was the only one doing it.
They weren't doing it that much though, because I sold a few Lennar homes and they were, clients were building from ground up.
Okay.
But they were doing their everything included package.
Yeah.
Which means that their appliances, their blinds, blah, blah, blah.
Less options.
Yes.
They didn't, you pretty much got what you got.
Yeah, exactly. What you see is what you get kind of thing. True. Very true.
Yeah.
Only on a few certain communities by Lennar where you can choose those more higher end communities, you can choose your options.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. But Century Communities, Richmond American, they're very well known for only doing spec homes now, where they don't do build from ground up anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They may shift as the market shifts because now there's more inventory on the resale side.
Yeah.
There's no need to push those move-in ready spec homes.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a builder that I rarely ever go over with, but I saw an email from them, so I thought I would go over it. They're mainly on the east side in Henderson, Storybook Homes, and south side.
Yeah. So
for a limited time on their quick move-in homes, take advantage for the first 2 years on your FHA 30-year fixed loan. It's a 2-to-1 buy down that close on homes that close on by July 31st. The first year you get 2.99% interest rate. The second year, 3.99, and years 3 through 30, 4.99. Still a great deal, again, for those FHA buyers. So I like it that one that's making it more affordable for those people in that price range.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we can have more affordable housing. So if you're in that price range, you need to call us so we can get you into a new home and take advantage of those incentives. Now, not only can you get those incentives, but as expert agents that sell new construction, we can also negotiate better deals.
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah. And when you buy a new construction home, you always need to bring your agent with you on the very first visit before you even register if you want representation. If you register without them, unfortunately, we cannot represent you.
It's off the table.
Yeah. All right. So the next builder is Taylor Morrison, and they're having their flash event also and offering 4.75% 30-year fixed interest rate on FHA and VA loans on their select quick move-in homes with their affiliated lender. Must go enter contract from now until July 6th and close by July 25th.
Yeah. These are great rates. I mean, that's one thing that's going to be very difficult to compete in the resale market. You can get the seller to help you do a buy down up to about 2 points.
Yeah.
But these are more than that.
Yeah, they're like really very competitive right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is those lenders provide like a fund so that they can do those buy downs.
It's pre-purchased. Yeah.
Yes, it's pre-purchased amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And the last builder is Toll Brothers. And for a limited time on their quick move-in homes, when you use Toll Mortgage, they're offering an exclusive 2-to-1 buy down on a 30-year mortgage. Must close by July 31st. So for the first year, you get 4.49% interest rate. The second year, 5.49% interest rate, and 30 through 30, 6.49. So for Toll, that's actually pretty good.
Yes, they aren't offering these kind of things too often. So.
Yeah. Toll very seldom has interest rate incentives, and surprisingly, when I looked maybe a couple of days ago, Pulte didn't have anything. They may have something now, but I didn't have time to update that.
Okay.
So any comments? Nope. Wow, you guys are quiet. I like it when you guys interact.
Yeah. Magic, getting them to interact.
Well, we hit the hour.
Yeah.
We went over that new construction pretty fast.
Yeah. Sweet.
There's a lot happening with new construction. Damien and I were up driving around Summerlin West, and I have on my website, there's a new retirement community, 55 plus, by Taylor Morrison. We talked about it briefly in one of our market updates called Esplanade. And it's going to be, they're calling it Esplanade at Red Rock. And it's going to be a very exclusive, I don't know if it's guard gated. I know it will be gated.
Okay.
This ultimate luxury retirement community by Taylor Morrison. Houses will range around 1,500 square feet to a little over 3,000 square feet.
Okay.
Single story homes. They're going to have a 10,000 square foot clubhouse with a golf simulator, a poolside bar restaurant, resort style pool, a state of the art fitness center, pickleball, bocce ball courts, you name it, they're going to have it. It's going to be probably
Love it.
more in ultra luxury.
It's how do you say it?
Esplanade.
Esplanade.
Esplanade at Red Rock. I guess apparently they already have another 55 plus community, I think in California called that,
Okay.
or somewhere, I don't know exactly. And they're calling it at Red Rock. And above that is where that the private luxury new community Astra is.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
got to drive around there. There's so much being developed.
Yeah.
And this will be part of the La Madre Peaks Village. And they're anticipated to open Q1 or Q2 of 2026. If you want to learn more information about it, you can always go to my website at neighborhoodsinlasvegas.com. Click on the tab that says Summerlin Villages, and I've already created it for Esplanade.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into the bets. Median price, Rob said that we would have a 2,500 decrease. Did I say increase?
I don't know.
I don't think I would have said increase.
I don't think so. No. We'll say that you meant decrease.
I said decrease.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said 5,000 decrease and it was flat. So technically you won. Kind
Yeah.
of. No one really won.
Did I go first on that one? I don't know.
Yeah, you
I
did.
think I made it.
You went first.
I always try to come up with a number that's hard to get around.
You went first.
It's like I nailed it.
I put the star. All right. So without offers, Rob said 6,700. I said 6,500 and it was 6,646. So technically Rob won that one.
Very close. Yeah.
And then months of supply, Rob said 3.4. I said 3.2 and it was actually 3.2. So I won that one.
I think you nailed it on the head 2 months in a row on months of supply.
Yeah, that one's not that hard anymore. All right, so let's get started with the new bets and then wrap this bad boy up. If you have questions, now's the time to ask them before we wrap it up. Now I get to go first this time. So since we remain flat for 2 months in a row, we are heading into our slower season because now it's summertime.
Where are those sales coming in at? Are the sellers?
I'm going to say that there was only going to be a 2,500 decrease. I'm going to go with what you said last time.
It's a tough number to get around.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, okay, that was probably the number I would pick. Gosh, I think I'll go 2,600. It's kind of like just
Price is right.
Price is right. Yeah.
All right. So listed without offers.
Listed without offers. Let's see. I'll go 68.50.
68.50.
68.50. It's only 150 more, but it's a tough number to get around. Do you want to go to 6,900?
Well, currently, when I saw the sheet for inventory for single family homes, it was like 6,700 now. And if we were at 66 and we're at 67, I think you may be right. I'm going to prices right you and do 6,900.
Okay, that's what I thought. It's a tough number for you to get you under.
So months of supplies, I'm going to say make it easy and go 3.4.
Okay. Yeah, that is a tough one. That's tough for me to say that. Okay. Well, we got a lot of June left, right? So I'm going to go 3.5. Yeah. Okay. Easy enough.
Yep. All righty. 3.5. That is it.
But we are approaching total on market where we could be seeing that area that was the buyer's market number 6 months. Because 4.5 right now on the condos and townhomes, 3.2.
True.
It's probably closer to like 4 and change or 4 total, whatever.
Right. Months of supply.
We're inching to that.
Yeah. And
area.
as long as I've been in real estate, I've never seen it as a buyer's market. It's always been that 3 months of supply relatively hanging around and under. I mean, you've been in the business a lot longer than I have, so I'm sure
there was
during
definitely
your days,
times, yeah.
yeah. I mean, we've seen, again, it's always been cyclical. We've always seen ups and downs and peaks and valleys. All right, someone finally asked.
We got a life in Salt Lake City question here, or maybe just a statement. Oh no, it's a question. It looks like initially hot markets are correcting. Do you see that happening in Vegas? I've been looking at Huntington Beach, but what half the money can buy you in Vegas is crazy. Oh yeah, well, Huntington Beach is going to be a very popular area in California. Going to be very expensive, kind of like what you said, older homes, and they sell for a lot. And then a lot of times people buy in Huntington area. I see it every time I visit. They buy a house, they tear the whole damn thing down and rebuild it, or they completely redo it, like including the exterior.
Right.
Do a beautiful home. So
add on, upgrade, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's a very.
The only thing with
market.
California though is you have to get a lot of permits.
Yeah, a lot of permits, and well, people are freaking out in California again. So who knows? Purposely setting fires not a good idea. Just saying. But okay, so is the market correcting here? Yeah.
I mean, again, we saw this trend back in 2022. How long will it correct? And how long, again, how we're gradually going down. Are we going to see a drastic decline? I personally don't think so.
No.
Are we going to see a decline? Yes, but I think it's going to be gradual. And then I think once those interest rates, if they ever do go down, we're just going to start trending back up again.
Yep. I still think Vegas is going to generally, it's the old statement, strong stay strong.
Right.
We're going to stay generally strong compared to other areas that might have more problems by a lot of the country. So, yeah, over time, we could see a little slide back, and it'll actually be healthy.
Yeah. I mean, again, when we saw in 2022, we saw a huge decline.
That was a big decline.
It was very drastic
and it
very
was fine.
Fast. And but just as fast as it went down, it shot right back up super fast.
Yeah.
So again, I think this one is going to be a little different. It's a whole nother anomaly. It's not about any other life-changing events right now, in my opinion. It's just the way the market is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, folks. We really appreciate taking the time to watch us today. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Rock on.
And do it peacefully.
And we'll see you on the next one.
We'll see you on the next one. If you're interested in buying or selling in the Las Vegas market, I've posted all our information down in the description below.
Thank you, Ange.
Rob's links to his website, his phone number, email. Mine is down there as well. I miss the beauty weather of Cali, but Vegas is definitely on my radar.
Good for you, man.
Yeah. And Salt Lake City's probably gotten super expensive too, I heard.
I think it is it's been a pretty
it's like
good market
Idaho,
there.
And because a lot of Californians were going there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And their market really got flooded.
Yeah, my lady's family lives out there, and they live kind of in an outskirt area, and I see them building and growing there quite a bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a lot of snow here.
They did the Rock the Block in Salt Lake City. Do you watch Rock the Block?
Rock the Block, is that like?
That's on HGTV. They get the famous designers and they build 4 houses each, and they compete each week on a different room.
I did not see that, but yeah, I thought you were talking about a concert series. You know what they do there? That's pretty cool. Speaking of actual rock, they put on these concerts for very little money for people that live in Salt Lake City. And I wish I could remember what they're called, but they're something like that. Something in the park over there.
All right, folks. Peace out. See you on the next one.
Thank you.
How do we end this? There we go.
How do we do this?
Yeah.